Welcome to another episode of our podcast. You mentioned something about Louis Vuitton branding.
Yeah.
Let's dig deep into that. Spirituality and branding and creative entrepreneurship, that's where you are. What role do you think branding plays in the Muslim world, especially when it comes to da'wah and authenticity? Can business be a spiritual act?
It's kind of like I think you answered the question. Can business be a spiritual act? I think even if you look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? He makes deals with his slaves. It's like, I have a deal for you. You give me your life, right?
Mm.
And you dedicate yourself to my work, changing the world for a better. It's a transaction he himself making with us. So a lot of people don't offering a business deal. He's saying, I'll give you Jannah, I can guarantee Jannah if you just submit yourself to me, work for me and my cause, bettering the world, right? And you stick to the cause no matter what happens.
Yeah.
So I think our life in itself is a business transaction and a spiritual business transaction. So yes, I think branding is so crucial. Everything matters. Like everything that you do, if you're a business owner out there and you're trying to make it, your designing of your flyer matters, right? Your packaging is important. Your presentation is crucial.
Yeah.
Because if you're not standing out, if you're not putting out those things, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
So I think but at the same time, it's not just out layer of the product, but it's the in layer of your intention.
Yeah.
Because if you're not intentional, your product will only look good in the packet.
Yes.
And that was one of our intentions. Like, look, I want to go out there and make some money out of this, but that's not my first intention.
Yes.
رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ.
Yes.
I want the best of this world. Yes, if I can make few bucks, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I want to do it for sake of God.
Yeah.
If I can add value to somebody's life, that's the most intentional thing that we want to do, right? So as a business owner, your branding is so crucial, and you need to put more efforts and time and spend quality assurance on that. Obviously, there are business folks that will tell you, no, just release it and work on it as you go, which that's the nature of business. But branding is so crucial, and authenticity is part of it, right? If you think about it from a branding perspective, the Kaaba is covered, right? That's the branding, but the spirit and the ruh is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We're not going to Kaaba to worship the box or the Mecca itself. We're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah. And
it's so crucial. So I think like that, these two are so intertwined. You can't do one or the other. If you just want to be spiritual and you want to put efforts in branding and the brand, you're losing out the credit. Allah will reward you. There will be a blessing behind your brand, perhaps. The authenticity will pay itself. But you need to work on the branding as well. They go hand to hand. And Allah loves beauty.
Yeah.
We tend to forget, like, I think we tend to look at the branding as like a Western concept. Like, this is Islamic concept.
Yeah.
When you think about Jannah, how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
That's branding.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm excited about this conversation, because it ties the modern age and the real hustle with what we learn outside our work. And that's one of our problems in our community, the dual identity. When we have sometimes to take the garment that we're wearing for work, and then we have put another garment when we actually are asked to be one authentic identity. What does authenticity look like in leadership, and how do you stay rooted in your mission while navigating spotlight expectations?
So I struggle a lot at the beginning of trying to find myself, and there's this one mentor who gave me a great advice when I was giving my first khutbah, and I asked Brother Ali from Iona, our local mosque. I was like, give me an advice.
Yeah.
And he said something so calm and collectively said, speak from your heart, it will reach the heart.
Yeah.
And wallahi, like, I can tell you, I carried that throughout my whole career, throughout my community work, just being real, being authentic.
Yeah.
Now, there are times that did, shoot me in my foot. There are times where I was being authentic and being real with certain people that was used against me, that was abused, right? Because I was just being real. I was just being openly discussing things. And I think that's what hurt me. So I learned like, yes, you want to be, there's balance in everything. So I
Yeah.
think authenticity is a matter of heart. How, and your heart has to be love, like, you have to love Allah in that heart, for that heart to love others, and for that heart to be authentic with people. So I think it's a matter of language. It's a matter of, it's a language of the heart. That's what authenticity means, right?
I love it.
And I think being real is so crucial because people don't, if I say something, you'll hear me and you'll see me. But if I say it from my heart, you will feel it. And only the heart understands the other heart's language.
Yes.
And if it's not from the heart, it's not gonna tap. Then it's not gonna beat together.
Yeah, my mentor Lisa Nichols calls it talking from your soul
Mm,
talk, and I love it. And honestly, if you're not talking from your soul, it doesn't matter how you look like or your brand look
mm,
like or how polished you are, because you're not gonna reach people's hearts. They will look at you for a second, like what they see, but then they will move on the minute you open your mouth, and it's not authentic. You can brand yourself, but if it is not totally rooted in you, it will show eventually. You will be exposed eventually, right?
and I think to second response, how do you maintain authentic?
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of, you mentioned crucial point here is the crew. Ruh is everything, right?
Mm.
Ruh is what we're here for. Ruh is from Jannah, right? And that's where it originates from.
Yeah.
And Ruh connects with only authentic materials.
Yeah.
So number one, I would say like to refine that authentic conversation, being authentic, being real, it's grounding yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the way you ground yourself with Allah is constantly talking to Him, like
Indeed.
constantly having that communication with Him. You have a relationship with Allah day and night, in and out. Even in your good and your bad thoughts, you still have Allah in mind,
Yeah.
right? And I think one of the tools I would say to stay refined or authentic is honestly Quran. Like I think Quran has hit me in so many different ways that all these years I didn't realize how important it was. And some days I recite it, some days I didn't feel it, but I know my soul was feeling it.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. So I think, and then also good mentors. So there's a lot of things you need to do to be authentic,
Yeah.
and you need a mentor who's gonna stay on top of you and tell you as it is. You may not like it. You
Mm.
shouldn't like it because they're giving you the real raw response that you need to hear,
Yeah.
right? So grounding your loving Allah, being able to really have Quran as your life partner and having good mentors. And there's multiple other factors you can take.
With mentors, I would add to that because you are a life coach also.
Yeah,
One of your
try
hats.
to be.
One of your hats is life coach and mentor. Good mentors help you know yourself. And
Mm.
knowledge of oneself is the root of all knowledge.
So,
Uh, even knowing yourself is the root of knowing Allah also. That's what Imam al-Ghazali says in his book.
yes.
So yeah, so definitely that's where your authenticity comes from, knowing who you are and understanding that your act is between you and Allah and not for the show. And by the way, this is not an interview, this is a conversation. I don't call it interview, I call it
Yeah.
conversation.
Mm.
Yeah, forgive me if I'm sharing a little.
By all means, Sister Rafa, like you have great wealth of knowledge, mashallah. Like, your roof says a lot.
Alhamdulillah.
And I think when you're saying like letting go and that you're not in control, it's so important. When you know that you're wrong and you can say, hey, I made a mistake. Like when you're able to do that, you're in a different phase of life, right? I think you're in a different stage of life that life has a way to just hammer you down to that level, you
That's
know?
Go Beyond is about. It's about when you are hammered, how you can push yourself through that and come out and rise and go over all of that and come back to who you are authentically. Um, More on the topic of authenticity, because as a woman, especially in hijab, this resonated with me when you mentioned that when we were preparing for this episode. You said the Prophet ﷺ didn't dress differently. So why do we ask people and leaders to show up in certain dress? And I'm going to add to that Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't look into our pictures, how we look. He looks into our hearts. But we in our society are so fixated on appearances, and we're judgmental over people, how they look, what they look. Is kind of like we want some conformity. So you are not someone who accept to be boxed in or framed, knowing you. So that's something I want you to talk explicitly about.
You know, interestingly, recently I went to this conference, Islamic conference, like, and this scholar, he was like, you know, he had this the Saudi dress, and he was in his thobe, and he's very tall, mashallah. I mean, I'm just a Bengali, I have a typical height. So like he comes in and just shakes hand, and I felt like I was like, okay, you know, like the way he was dressed, I was like, that's a bit too much. Like just, and I get it. So, you know, sometimes maybe that's the way the scholars wants to dress and present yourself. And you can have other arguments. There's both sides of the arguments, right? There's why should scholars dress like this and why they shouldn't. And I'm one of those people that listen, like if you cannot come down from the pedestal and connect with me as a leader. I mean, you know, my family, we were watching Omar series recently,
Yeah.
and one of the Omar series,
Everybody, huh?
yeah, you realize like you know the king of, I think one of the kings comes and looks for him. Where is he? And he saw him sleeping right next to the camel and just on the ground. It's like, this is your leader? He's not dressed. He's a security. And I was like, man, I'm not saying everybody should like dress whatever, right? Dress appropriately, you know, be professional, look good, but to the point where like, you know, you're wearing this giant thobe and you're coming off scholarly, you disconnected me. So I
Yeah.
think I always pushed back in the community too. So I was one of those, like I was against thobe. I was like, why are we wearing some bunch of auto outfits? And when you look at the cultural element, one of my friend Langston, he was telling me, he was like, you know, my shirt and my pants are sunnah. I'm wearing clothes of the people. You know, I'm not. It's not tight. It's not inappropriate. It's
Yeah.
a sunnah of the people that I'm here. This is my country. This is what the outfit is. You know, appropriate, right? So
Yeah.
I think like being real is also important, to be real outside, being who you are, right?
Yeah.
And you know, again, you don't want to go extreme right or you don't want to go extreme left. I think we understand, right? There are extreme format you can go in, but finding the middle ground is important, not just for scholars, but also for activists and community involved organizers, and bringing it down, say like, listen, I'm at a human level.
We sometimes deny people to be individuals. And once you have that, divide in your authenticity and identity, then all problems come piling up,
Yeah.
because that where all values come from.
Yeah,
And Allah Azza wa Jal, he made us individual to the thumb, you know? Yeah,
subhanallah.
the print.
We're
He
unique.
didn't want us. If he wanted human beings to look the same and dress the same, he would have done that,
Ah,
right? But
right, absolutely.
why he created us so different, because
SubhanAllah.
that was part of this integral part of the universe. And that's why we need to embrace that identity and authenticity and who I am.
That's what I try to teach mentors. I was like, just be you. Like, I don't want you to come here with a thobe or kufi. As a matter of fact, don't even talk about any hadiths or Quran. Live it.
Yeah.
Live it. Just be you. Live it. As long as obviously you have, you know, we have guidelines and don't go outside of the, but be you, man. Like, and just share your struggle. I share my struggle. I was like, there are struggles I have. I tell people, they're like, I didn't think you would have that. I was like, why not?
Yeah.
Why? Like we
Vulnerability is very important in leadership.
and I think that's what we don't see from our, from our uncles and ammus and the leaders. They're very guarded, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about their struggle. They want to make it seem like we're perfect or like we're not.
When you see people above and high, you kind of give it up. I cannot
Yeah,
be like that, so I'm not gonna try. Yeah.
yeah. And you know, you'd be surprised. A lot of the companions of the Prophet, ﷺ, they weren't overnight perfectionists. A
No.
lot of them struggled. I mean, if you just think about the top companions had 7 to 10 divorces in their life.
Yeah.
People don't talk about those things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We make mistakes. We're gonna have bad marriages. We're gonna have issues with our kids. We're gonna struggle. Maybe some of us are not, we're not gonna stand up all night praying. Doesn't make me any low standard in my profile. Maybe I'm not gonna have beard as 10-inch long, doesn't mean that I'm not following all the sunnahs, right? I mean, I think those are the things we have to be really have an open conversation in our community. So like, guys, we have a bigger struggle internally. Let's focus on that a little bit more. External is something that has to be an individual choice to come out. It cannot be forced.
Yes, very true, very real. I'm sure that a lot of people are listening now and saying, oh, this guy understands us.